Today we are going to do an introduction to the survival analysis. Today we are going to learn how to handle survival analysis data, how to do some simple computations here and there, and interpret the output. And before we continue, what is survival analysis? Is it your first time to come across the topic? I wish to know. I request to know that before we continue. Friend, is it your first time to hear the word survival?
Yes.
So it's your first time to hear the word survival, okay? Brianna.
Yes.
So this is your first time to hear the word survival, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh. So I'm trying to think on the best method I can use so that you may understand what you mean by survival. Uh, in statistics, we have something that we call survival analysis. And I will give you a simple example of survival analysis. For example, let's assume you have your business. Let's assume you have your business, and the first day you started your business, the growth was 0, right? And now we want your business, or you want to grow your business to somewhere else. Now we can estimate the probabilities that are associated with the failure of business. Are we together? And another good example is okay, let me ask Priscilla. Priscilla, welcome. We are trying to understand what a survival analysis is. So today our topic is on survival analysis. Priscilla, have you ever heard of the word survival in statistics earlier? Priscilla? Okay, let's continue. Another good example is a case of pregnancy. So when we want to estimate the life expectancy of unborn child between that time and the time of birth. So we don't know the chances that our child will be born alive. Are we together? So the duration between 0 and 9 months, we may assign that as a probability of 1, for example. And the time of failure, we have the time of failure. The time of failure will be defined by the duration between 0 and the time that our child by bad luck may die before he or she is born. So that is what we call time failure. So yeah, so that's what those are some examples of survival analysis. So survival analysis, we can use it or we can apply it in our daily lives for estimating different things in business, in medicine, in so many areas. In so many areas. So, because you have never heard of the word survival, we will try to understand some concepts or basic ones, then we apply the same on STATA, to estimate some ABCD. So that is basically what we are supposed to cover. Okay. With the document that I've shared with you some minutes ago, survival analysis is basically a branch of statistics for analyzing the expected duration of time until one event occurs. So for example, on that case of unborn child, survival analysis will be used to analyze the expected duration of time, which for our case is 9 months. After 9 months, we expect the child, we expect the birth of the child to occur. So, examples of these survival analysis, we have things like death in biological organisms and failure in mechanical systems. Yeah. For example, you are traveling in a car from Nairobi, let's say, to Mombasa. So what we want to analyze there is the duration or the time taken for you to go all the way from Nairobi to Mombasa without breakdown of your vehicle. And by chance, if your car breaks before you reach to your destination, then we assume that the process has failed. We assume that the process has actually failed. So this topic is called the reliability theory or reliability analysis in engineering, the ones for mechanical systems. So duration analysis or duration modeling in economics, and event history analysis in social. So survival analysis now attempt to answer certain questions such as what is the proportion of a population which will survive past a certain time. Are we together? For example, when you are teaching a group of 100 students, you can make conclusions or on sample of let's say 10, and the information you get from that one will be used to make conclusions on those others. So of those who survive, at what rate will they die or fail? I'm sure you kuna kitu inaingia kwa akili because this is your first time to hear the words survival analysis. So, at what rate will they die or fail? At what rate will a specific group of students finish either from 4 or finish a specific course? Can multiple causes of death or failure be taken into account? Those are some of the questions that you have to consider when you are performing survival analysis. And another thing, how do particular circumstances or characteristics increase or decrease the probability of survival? And to answer such questions, it's necessary to define lifetime. Yeah, it's necessary to define the lifetime. So for the previous example that I've given you on expectant mother, we define pregnancy time as duration between conception and birth. That is 9 months will be our lifetime. So, in the case of biological survival, death is ambiguous, but for mechanical reliability, failure may not be well defined because we don't know when a system may break or may fail. So even in biological problems, some events, for example, attack or other organ failure, may have the same ambiguity. So yes, Mr. Joseph. Okay. Let's now continue. Am I audible? Naweza kuwa naongea na amnipati. Am I audible? Mnanipata kweli? Nataka kusikia kama mnanipata before I continue. Are we together? Okay, let's continue. So those are some theories that go hand in hand in the survival analysis. So the theory outlined below assumes well-defined events at specific time. Other cases may be better treated by models with explicit accounts for ambiguous events. So if you have any question, or if you don't understand some theories that we are introducing here, you can just ask questions. So more generally, this thing that we are calling survival analysis will involve modeling of time to event data. So in this context, death or failure is considered as an event. Are we together? But now, I want you to think in this perspective. For example, we don't know nobody who knows his or her life duration here on earth. So death is event because we don't expect to die soon. But now you cannot estimate or tell that I will die after 5 years or after 20 years. If you have specific information for your lifetime here on earth, then it means that your duration will be defined as lifetime. Are we together? Are we together? The years that you will live will be defined as lifetime in the survival analysis. But now, because we don't know, that's why death becomes an event. So we don't expect to die. Miaka ni 650. So the failure is also considered as an event. Because when you are driving your car, for example, from Nairobi to Kakamega, you expect that journey to take around 7 hours, 7 or 8 hours. So your journey, in case your car breaks down before you reach into your destination, that one wouldn't be considered as survival. No, as failure. So traditionally, only a single event occurs for each subject. So after which the organism or mechanism is dead or broken. So recurring events or repeated event models relax that assumption. So the study of recurring events is relevant in system reliability and in many areas of social science and mechanical research. So I'm sure now up to that point you can tell what we mean by survival analysis. You can tell what we mean by survival analysis. So we have some terms that are associated with the survival analysis. And the first one is event. And for event, things like death, disease, occurrence, disease recurrence, recovery, or other experience of interest, interest. Those things are the events. Why are we calling them events? Nataka kusikia kutoka kwenye nione kama if you are understanding what we mean by survival analysis. Why is death an event? Why is death an event? Yes? Priscilla? Mr. Joseph?
Okay, well, so, okay, from my understanding of survival analysis,
Yes.
Because, so it's because it's, so I don't know how to define it, because it's the activity that has finality. Like, this is, like, it's what you're counting. So that's what it's leading up to. So it leads up to the event. So I don't know. I know what it is, but just explaining it is just hard to explain without using actual terms.
I understand. Another one? Another one? Okay. Priscilla, what you are doing here, what we are doing here, some of the students don't have any idea of survival analysis. That's why we are taking more time on defining some terms, then tutafinya haraka haraka kwa software, then we come up with the conclusions. So yes, so actually an event in survival analysis, event refers to an occurrence. So this is basically an occurrence or outcome of interest that is being studied. So it represents an event or failure that can happen to a subject or individual during a specific time period. I think that the definition is very, very clear. Yeah. So in survival analysis now is a statistical method that we are trying to use to analyze now time to that particular event, where the focus is on the time until that event of interest occurs. So are we together? The event could be any significant occurrence, such as those things like death, disease, recurrence, those things. So, for example, the time to the event is often referred to as the survival time or failure time. So survival analysis now takes into account the presence of censoring, which occurs when the event of interest has not occurred for some subjects by the end of the study, or when they are allowed to follow up. And censoring is actually an essential aspect of this analysis because it will provide information about subjects who are still at risk of experiencing what? Of experiencing those events. So by analyzing the occurrence now of events over time and considering the censored observations, cervical analysis, survivors, not cervical, the survival analysis now will allow the researcher to estimate the probability. Get the point? Survival analysis now will allow the researcher to estimate the probability of an event happening at different time points. That's when we construct the survival curves and identify factors that may influence the occurrence of those particular events. So event in survival analysis, basically what we mean by all these stories is that an event now in survival analysis will represent the outcome or occurrence under investigation, such as, for example, death, disease recurring again. So the analysis of survival analysis now aims to understand the time it takes for this event to happen. For example, through survival analysis, I can estimate the disease recurrence based on the history of the patient. Based on the history of the patient. That is what you mean by event. We have time, so the time from the beginning of an observation period, such as surgery or beginning treatment, to an event, or end of the study, or loss of contact, or withdrawal from the study. So censoring, we have censoring or censored observations. Censoring occurs when we have some information about individual survival time, when we have individual survival time, but we don't know the survival time exactly. Yes, we don't know the survival time exactly. So the subject is censored in the sense that nothing is observed or known about the subject after the time of censoring. So a censored subject may or may not have an event after the end of the observation time. We have the survival function S of t. This is the probability that a subject survives longer than time t, or than the assigned time t. Okay, now we jump to something new that is called survival regression model. The survival regression model. Survival regression model. What do you understand by regression? Now, we have introduced what survival analysis is. Now we want to come up with a regression model that will predict or give us those estimates and conclusions and all those. So, yes. What is survival regression? What is survival regression? I want to hear from you. So, we have additional data assigned from the duration that we want to use. That you want to use. So, the technique is called the survival regression. Are we okay? The name implies that we regress the covariates, for example, age, country, all those things, against another variable. Against another variable. So there are few popular models in survival analysis. In survival regression, we have something like Cox. Now, basically this survival regression model which name can I use to define that relationship? Let me check. So the survival regression model actually, also known as the survival analysis models, or we can call it time to event model. Are we okay now? Or statistical model that is used to analyze time to an event data. Yeah, and they understand the relationship between the predictor variable and the time, maybe until the event occurs. So these models, uh, that we use in survival analysis, they are more basically used in medical research, for example, social sciences and other fields. So yeah, and survival regression model, uh, it is designed to handle sensory data. So where some subjects do not experience the event of interest. They don't experience the event of interest within the study period or are lost to follow-up maybe. So these models take into account both the sensory events and the sensory observations to estimate the survival function and make predictions about the future events. So the most commonly used survival function, the most commonly used survival regressions, we have the Cox proportional hazard models. We have that is proposed by that model was proposed by was it San David, something of kind. And this Cox model, it will assume the hazard rate. So the instantaneous rate of the events occurring is proportional across different levels of the predicted data. So there are other survival regression models. By the way, there are many. So we have even parametric. We have parametric survival models like Weibull. You remember the parameters that are used to define a Weibull distribution. We have the exponential that makes exponential makes what? Exponential. It makes actual assumptions about the distribution of survival time. Yeah. So these models actually can provide more flexible representation of the hazard functions, but will require assumptions about the underlying distribution. So survival regression model will now allow the researcher to assess the effect of predictor variable on time to event. So I want us we load the data that we are supposed to use today. We load the data and understand what we mean by that point. So let's try to load the data. Are we okay? Are we together, guys? Aki naona kama siongei. Are we together?
Yes.
Mnanipata? Nataka kusikia kwenu. Priscilla,
Yeah.
mnanipata si ndio? Okay. Nataka tuingie kwa software. I want you open your software, we load the data for survival analysis, and try to do ABCD. So I clear whatever I had in my memory, in my STATA memory. I want to click on files. We want to use the readily available data that is inbuilt in STATA. sawa sawa. Click on file, example datasets, Instead of using this one here, use the second one, STATA 13 manual dataset. The second part, I want you to click the second part. So usikliki ya kwanza, the one that we have been using. Click this one. So something pops out. I want you to click on survival analysis and epidemiology table reference manual, ST. So I want you to click on this one here. Then kuna data inakuja hapo. I want you browse mpaka kwa ST set.
Which data are we using again?
Okay.
So I don't have that one.
You don't have this one? I'm sure you have it. I'm very sure you have it. Okay, let's repeat the procedure again. Click on file. Sawa. Nataka nikisema click on file, mmoja tu unmute, then you'll be responding. Click on file. Click on example datasets. Sawa. Sinakuleta hapo. This is the example datasets. We are not going to use the first one that we have been using. We are going to use this one here. STATA 13 manual datasets. Or even if you have STATA 14 or whatever, make sure you click on manual datasets. Okay, click on manual datasets. Kuna data zitatoka hapo. So from this one, you click on this one for survival analysis and epidemiological table reference manual. So yes.
So mine.
Uh-huh.
So mine is data 14.
Uh-huh.
And it says the only survival analysis I have just survival analysis reference manual.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have the epidemiological one.
Okay, click on that manual.
Okay.
Inakupeleka wapi? Is it possible you share with us your screen just a little bit, then you can see how we can handle it.
Okay, I think you need to stop sharing.
Okay, just to share the screen. Then we see how we can do it. Frida.
Yes.
Umepata yako ni 13, si ndio?
Ni 14 pia.
Ni 14 pia.
Yes, I'm having the same issue.
Okay, let's see. So umefika hapo? Okay. Go to the ST set. Browse mpaka kwa ST set.
ST set.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this one.
Yes, at ST set. Unaona hiyo the data number 3.
Stand 3 or stand 2?
Stand 2. That one.
Stand.
Click on use. I'm sure, Frida, you are following up. Click on use. Okay. Utaipata huko mbele sasa.
Okay.
Okay, close.
So that's the one we're using?
Yes, we are going to use that one. So close that window and acquire the main window of STATA.
Okay, I was sharing just a window. So I have to stop sharing first.
Okay.
Frida? Mine is saying that STATA is too busy.
What? Okay, just try to clear.
Okay.
Just type clear hapo kwa memory, kwa command, then enter. What is happening?
Pardon?
Type clear, type command clear,
Okay.
then enter, click enter.
I click enter where?
Priscilla Wakera is presenting, yes?
Oh gosh, no, I have like the whatever window.
Mm.
Okay, I got the infinity one.
Okay, you are okay, yes? So, Frinda, type
Yes.
type the command clear and just click enter in your machine. It will clear everything in STATA memory, then you can be able to load the dataset.
Okay, I think now I have it. It is the one with ID, died, something like that.
Yes, that is it.
Okay, I
Anybody
have it.
else? Kuna mwingine mwenye hana?
Mine is also saying the same, that the data STATA is too busy.
Okay, just uh, click on click clear, type clear, then click enter. Sawa sawa. Are we together? Umenipata kweli? Okay, I think we can now continue.
Yeah, good.
So you are okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. So let me hand mine before we do. So example dataset manual. This one. Then ST set. Yes, I have it. I want us to describe this data so that we understand what we are, the kind of data that we have. Just type describe and click enter. What is happening? What is happening from your side? I'm sure you've done the same. So we have data from the STATA database. We have added a three observations. We have 5 variables. Size, this is the size of the data. And the data is for heart transplant. The data is for heart transplant. It's for heart transplant. So we have the ID. These are the variables that are present here. We have the ID, which is patient identifier. We have diet. This is the survival status. If you see 1 in the died column, you understand or you get to know that that particular patient died before, died in the process of medication. We have the survival time, S time. This is the survival time in days. So this is the survival time in days. We have transplants, and this is the heart transplant wait. This is the waiting time. So you can have a look on your data. Just click on browse, and this is the data that we have. So this is the data that we have. So what do we do now? We have the data. First thing, you have to declare your data to be in survival format, survival analysis format. So you can just click on statistics here, go to survival analysis, click on setup utilities, and declare data to be survival time data. Declare your data to be survival time data. So just click OK, and which is the time variable is the S time, yeah, which is the failure time, which is the failure time, which is the failure time. Okay, tuende hapa. Multiple ID records, this is ID, sindio? What is the failure time? I want to hear from you.
Died.
Yes, that is the failure time. Yeah, what is the failure value? From this one, from okay, from this description, what is the failure value? From that, what is the failure value, guys? Nataka kusikia kwa nione kama
Is it 1?
yes, that's the answer. So 1 is the failure value that represents the dead. So 1, he died. That's our failure variable, and 1 represents that occurrence. So you just click OK. What is happening? What are you getting here? What are you getting here? This is survival time, and the failure is if our patient dies on the process of medication, in the process of medication. We have these are observations, failure events, died 1, or okay, these are things here. Now we have the data set in survival analysis format. Let's go back to our presentation and see what we can do, and see what we can do. So we are starting with the Cox model, the Cox proportional hazard model, which is essentially a regression model commonly used in statistical niliandika nini hapa, is essentially a regression model commonly used in medical research, is commonly used in medical research for investigating the association between the survival time of patients and the more predictor variables. So in the previous chapter, I didn't document it here. No, sikuweka hii hapo, but I think it's on the other part. Okay, what's the definition of hazard and survival function? I think these ones you will go and research more on them. at your own time. The construction of Kaplan-Meier survival curve for different patient groups. You will check how you can do this at your own time. So our main agenda here is to come up with a proportional hazard model. A proportional hazard model. Now, how do we get the Cox proportional hazard model? So our data is already in time, not time series, in survival analysis format. So you just click on statistics. Okay, before we continue, everything that we do here from this menu, just remember the commands for those tasks are documented here, or they are produced on these other parts. So check. For example, this is for producing or for setting this data to be in survival analysis format. You remember even for time series, there was set somewhere, TSS set, but this is ST set. So this is for survival time analysis. So yeah, chat here. Then we continue with the Cox one. So click on statistics, go on survival analysis, and from there click on regression models and Cox proportional hazards model. Click on that one. Okay, now which is our independent variable. For example, you can come up with these ones here. Let's see. But these are options. These are options. So let's see which one we can actually insert here. Survival time. I want us to set our time. For example, our time to be let's have just one, and the other one is let's see, or let's have our independent variable as died, so that we can have the proportional hazard model for death and time. When you just have these ones, click on fit model. You can fit your model without cover it or with cover it. So let's click on cover it, but I don't think whether there's so much difference between the two. But I think it's on the difference comes on the purpose or interpretation of your model. When you click OK, what do you have here? Just a minute. You haven't inserted something here. My STATA is not responding. Well, let's repeat the process here. let's have wait and okay. The format for survival model. Fleet model. Hazard ratio, standard deviation. Let's see. So that model will produce something like this here, but something here was not captured well. So okay, let's now try to explain how this model works, just a simple description of the values that you can see here. I think this is not the one that's documented here. I used another variable. Let's see. Is it the one? That one 938.
It's the same as mine.
Oh yeah, the same. Huh? Yeah, that is it. So let's try now to explain this output that we can see here. These figures, the number of observations, these the chi-squares here, the log likelihood ratios. Yeah, those things. That table or that output represents the result of stratified Cox regression analysis using the Breslow method for ties. So the analysis basically aims to determine the hazard ratio and associated statistical measure for specific event indicated by the variable failure, where the variable of 1 indicate that the individual died. So the time is denoted by t and is represented by the variable s time. So the unique identifier for each individual is given by the variable id, So the first part of the table provides information about the iteration process. It indicates that the log likelihood of the initial estimation is negative 20.97 something. This part here, this one here, the log likelihood. Then the estimates are refined and subsequent iteration with the same log likelihood is performed. So the refinement process will help to improve the accuracy of the estimate. So the second part is this one. You can see here, this one here. That is the second part, which indicates the key result of stratified regression analysis. It states that the area total of 103 subjects included in the analysis, out of which 75 experienced the event, died. This one here, this part here. This part here, number of failure, yeah, which is 75 experience the event of interest which is died. So the time at risk represents the cumulative duration of observation for all subjects, which is 1908 units. So the LR of the chi-square ratio of 0 and probability greater than chi value are related to the overall statistical significance of the model and its unit of fit respect. So the last section represents the hazard ratios and score, but these values here were not generated. Why? This part here. Why were they not generated? I will answer that question tomorrow. And basically, I don't understand why they have not been produced here, but I will elaborate that before we start tomorrow's class. So basically, that output is for summary of the result of Court's regression analysis. Yeah. So providing estimates of hazard ratio and their statistical significance for the event of interest. So the analysis incorporates STATA defined by the survival time to account for potential variation in the baseline hazard. So yeah. The other part is on the Kaplan-Meier estimate. And Kaplan-Meier estimate is one of the best options to be used to measure the fraction of subjects living for a certain amount of time after treatment. So in clinical trials or community trials, the effect of an intervention is assessed by measuring the number of subjects survived or saved after that intervention over a period of time. So that is the Kaplan-Meier estimates. That is the Kaplan-Meier estimate. So the survival curve can be created assuming various situations. For example, it involves computing of probabilities of occurrences of final estimates of events at a certain point of time and multiplying these successive probabilities by any earlier computed probabilities to get actually the final estimates. Yeah, so this can be calculated for two groups of subjects and also their statistical difference in the survivals. So this can be used in this type of research, the Ayurveda, so and all those other things. So let's try to do the Kaplan-Meier. So for Kaplan-Meier, you just click on statistics, survival analysis, regression model. Kaplan-Meier versus the predicted survival. Click on it and produce. You can come up with any output with any variable that you want to estimate. For example, you may tend to estimate Kaplan-Meier for death, for those who died, where we expect the value to be included in our model to be actually 1. You can click on okay, let's see. Yes, that is it. So this is the Kaplan-Meier curve. This is the Kaplan-Meier curve. You can see this is the predicted This is the predicted. So this is a prediction for death. Are we together? This is the prediction for death. And we have the observed death. These are the observed death. I want you to check on the accuracy of our curve. Yeah. Observed died is the dead ones are on this part. But I want you to check on the observed died. Observed died and the predicted death rate. So I want you to check on the observed death from this point. From this point. I want you to check the observed death from this point to Kirundi hapa. Sindio? And the predicted death from here up to here, and tell me the difference. Basically, these were the deaths that were recorded for this matter. So penye unaona this point, these are deaths. And the predicted deaths by the Kaplan-Meier curve is these ones here. So it means every death in our data sets can be estimated by the Kaplan-Meier curve. Are we together? Because, for example, you compare this part here, these two parts here, from here up to here, and from here up to here. You can see we haven't encountered any death. Yeah, we haven't encountered any death. But ukikuja hapa mwisho, you can see we have one predicted death, but it has not occurred. So our curve has predicted death here, but that death physically has not occurred. So we expect someone to die at this point. So we expect someone, one of the patient to die here, and because this Kaplan-Meier estimated the death at very high confidence level, we expect tunajua tu mtu tu ataenda hapa, even though the death has not occurred. So somebody will die. That is how we interpret the Kaplan-Meier curve. That's how we generally interpret Kaplan-Meier curve. So these are simple interpretation of this model here. This one here. So this one here. So this is the failure, here's the one analysis time, the S time. Yeah. So utaenda kwa hizo at your own time. Another thing, you can do a lot of analysis here. For example, you can produce summary statistics, text and tables for your survival data. When we click on that part here, ID dies, let's see, and click OK. What do we get? So these are the statistics for survival. Survival what? These are the statistics for the survival data. So yeah. So these are some simple things that you can do at your own time and try to understand them. These are okay. This is for describing the survival. Yeah, this command is for describing the survival, and you can see here these are the number of observations that we have. We have the means here and there. We have the time. We have the failure. We had 75 who died. You remember this from the descriptives that we got before we started the lesson. So yes, so just go do more research on survival analysis, how you can apply it in real time to solve some of your day-to-day questions. Sasa, yeah. So tupatane kesho tukirap tukimaliza wiki. Yes, and we can call it a day at that point. So I guess yeah, you can leave at your own pleasure. Good night.